Hello, Ambazonians. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning in some parts of the world, actually. I'm glad to have you with me here on the set of the Wars on this Thursday, August the 17th, 2023. I would like to start by apologizing for the late start. As you must have noticed, those of you who are watching on Facebook, you must have noticed that at some point we were shut down. We were shut down because apparently we had streamed a video that had restricted rights. And for that reason, we were shut down and we had to restart. That is why we're starting a bit late. So, our apologies for that. Again, I'm glad to have you here with me today to continue this educational sensitization, motivational program and for the quest of the liberation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So I'm glad to have you here with me. I'll be joined by a panel that will help me so that we discuss the issues of the day. The issues of the day. There's a lot happening on the African continent this time, and even within our struggle. Things that may have some significant consequence on our quest for the liberation of the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. So again, I'm glad to have you watching here today with me. I have Honorable Sama Thomas will be joining me, as well as Mars will be joining me, and Chairman Patrick, if work permits, he should be joining us as well. So, since we are already starting a bit late, I would like to start by uh, recognizing the bravery of our ARFs of, I think, Mondemba, who did a great job during the week, and to send a message to La Republic that we are still standing strong 7 years after, when they thought that they will crush us in 2 weeks. The 2 cubes of sugar continue to resist being dissolved. So we are still standing strong. And La Republic of Cameroon, in their usual cowardice, went to Boyo and slaughtered two innocent civilians. Two innocent civilians were slaughtered in Boyo by the very cowardly soldiers of La Republic of Cameroon. And that is what they do. That is what they do all the time. I think they got a lesson uh, in Bamenda that this nonsense will not be tolerated. But they have waited for some time and nothing has happened, and they are trying to come back to this very nonsense again. We had warned them that our civilians are out of the question. Our civilians have nothing to do with the fight. If they are real soldiers, they should go after our own soldiers and let them face it off and stop victimizing our innocent civilians. I think they had that message loud and clear. So if they want to go down that road again, it is up to them. It is up to them. They had the message was sent to them that will not be tolerated henceforth. So, fellow Ambazonians, before I go on, I would like to bring in. I would like to show you a video of one very brave Ambazonian out there, a fighter who, tennis boxer who, after winning, was courageous enough, brave enough, patriotic enough to don the the colors of Ambazonia, the flag of Ambazonia, over his shoulders, and he said he was doing this. This is his own way of encouraging his brothers and sisters who are fighting these imperial invaders of his territory. And let me not take his words. Let's hear him say it himself. This brave fighter, I think his name is Tafon Nchukwi. Tafon Nchukwi, after winning a boxing match, dedicated that winning to our brave warriors, and it was something that has to be appreciated and recognized. And we're calling on others out there who are excelling from Ambazonia. This is what you do. You reach out and you appreciate those who are sacrificing it all for the liberation of your homeland. And if we have that video of Tafon and Jukwe, who gave a shout out to our brave warriors for the marvelous job that they are doing in defense of our homeland. I think it is worthy that we show his image and what he said. That should serve as an example for others to emulate. And
Amazonian brothers and sisters back home fighting for freedom, and there's not much I can do, but this I do to shine a light to the injustice of my people. And back to your question, I feel really great right now. He was a really tough guy. The more aggressive he got, the more he pumped me up to stick in there and keep fighting.
Your opponent was extremely aggressive. What did that do to you mentally, and were you surprised by his power?
Oh, no, I wasn't surprised at all. I was ready for it. But everything he did in there just turned me up more.
So what's next for the Don? Now we're 1-0 in the professional career.
Next, I'm ready for anybody. Anybody, cruiserweight, heavyweight, light heavyweight. I'm ready for you, baby. Lion fight. Let's do it.
The Don is...
Yes, as you heard there, his fighter name is the Don. I like that, the Don. The Don gave a shout out. You heard it for yourself. He gave a shout out to our ARFs for a job well done. So thank you, the Don. We wish you more victories to come. May you succeed in your career and make Ambazonia proud. We are behind you. We stand with you all the way through. So we wish you success. Now, with that said, fellow Ambazonians, I would like to bring in my partner so we can start the show. Honorable Sama Thomas should be in. I know SOS Mars should be in. And I know Chairman Patrick, his appearance was more conditional on his work schedule. So he may be jumping in at some moment. We don't know when. When he's ready, he will let us know. But Honorable Sama Thomas, Chairman or SOS Mars, if you're there, please let me see you. Yeah, I can see Honorable Sama Thomas. Yes, why not say hello to our viewers, Honorable Sama Thomas?
Yeah, good afternoon, Comrade Mike and Comrade Matt. And I want to say good evening for those who are there for Ground Zero, the Watchway, and all over Africa. And for say kudos to those who bravely defend themselves for Boyo and the guys of Mezam, where they don't give La Republique a tough time for Mancon this time around the axis of my 8th Mancon. I tell all when I say congratulations for a job well done. The God way he protect whenever do that job, he will continue for protect una, for get the enemy out of their land, whether they like them or not, they will get out of their land, whether they beg them.
Thank you, Honorable Sama Thomas. I don't know what happened, if you're frozen there or something. I think you're frozen, I believe so. Is it you or Facebook? I think you are frozen. Honorable Sama Thomas. If you are frozen, I don't know if SOS Mars is in. Is SOS Mars in? I don't know what's going on with the studio. I don't know what is going on. I think the problem is with Honorable Sama Thomas's camera or something. Honorable Sama Thomas, could you please log off and then log back on? SOS Mars is in. Over to you, SOS Mars. Say hello to our viewers. Okay, Honorable Sama Thomas is back on. Can you finish your thoughts then let SOS Mars take over?
I think that I was saying that we are here just to share our thoughts with our brothers on the ground. It is not as if we have the monopoly of ideas, but what we are going to put out there is for all of us to deliberate on and see which is the best way for all of us to go. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Sama Thomas. Over to you, SOS Mars.
Greetings, comrades, especially those on Ground Zero. We greet you. It's a great afternoon here in America, and I'm sure it's a great evening there in Ambazonia. All our commanders, all our generals, FMAs, 21 gun salute. We thank you for carrying on with this revolution, and we will see it to the end. Come with your ears and your thoughts, and let's deliberate this evening as my comrade Sama Thomas, Honorable Sama Thomas, has just iterated. So I look forward to having this evening with you. Thank you.
Thank you, SOS Mars. It's good again to have you on. Now let's start with the first topic of the day. We have witnessed what is going on the African continent, and even I think Chairman Patrick is even on. That is great. That is great. That means my panel is all complete. Before I go on, then, Chairman Patrick, just to make sure your sound quality and everything is good, why don't you say hello? Let's see.
Thank you so much, Chairman Mike. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you 5 on 5.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you to the Ambazonian people. This is one of the moments we all have to be thinking on how we can get to the final destination together as a team. And it's an honor to be on the same stage with Comrade Sama and Chairman Mas. And we are here to talk to the Amazonian people, educate our people to create the avenue where we can all talk together and find a way that will complete this journey as a team. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. I know you have work responsibilities, but you were able to sacrifice and be here. I very much appreciate it. Now, let's go to the first topic. As I was saying, there's a lot happening on the African continent, and I should say worldwide, actually, where there seems to be a reawakening, an uprising, a yearning for change as to how Africa has been treated on the world stage, as to how the African leaders have been treated, and even the African people, as to how the resources on the African soil have been exploited and used, and for whose benefit. So there seems to be a yearning from all corners. We have heard videos from as far as Jamaica and the United States. Uh, the blacks all over the world are looking at what is happening, especially beginning with Niger, where there have been some threats to intervene and bringing down those that saw things not going well, and they thought it being military, of course, and they thought it necessary for them to write things and make sure that the citizens of that country deserve what is rightfully theirs. And surprisingly, some of our brothers, I call them leaders, but I don't know if they're real leaders, on the continent are siding with those whom other Africans and blacks around the world, I should say, it's not just on the African continent, because I have heard complaints from as far as Jamaica, USA, Europe, where black people are standing up and saying, no, this has to stop. This cannot be the case going forward. We cannot simply sit back and not uh, recognize what is happening and wonder or start to at least think again on how these changes, these unfolding events, what effect these events may have on our own quest for the liberation of the Southern Commons. So that said, I would like to hear from you first, SOS Mass. What is your interpretation of what is happening here? And do you think that it will, at the end, bring about any meaningful change that will benefit the African continent?
Thank you, SOS Mike, for giving me that question. There is what we call the wind of change. And there's a famous Chinese proverb that change is the only thing that is guaranteed. And if you do not want to change, you do not change willingly, change will change you. So it's not a matter of if it will happen. It was just a matter of when. And the African continent and the black man and the black race, they're waking up to say we are not slaves anymore. We will not be treated like second-class citizens of the children of God. God created us all in his image. God did not make us second-class citizens. Humans may try to make us. And just like in Ambazonia, we've had enough. We're realizing that enough is enough. You can only push a man so far before they react. And all those African leaders who think that being a leader is a God-given right for themselves and they have to keep it just for themselves need to know that no, a leader is a leader of the people. And when your term as a leader is over, give it to the next person and humble yourself. Don't fight for it's not for life or death. But if you want to make it life or death, nature will take its course. And nature is taking its course across Africa, across the black race. The white people, especially France, have exploited us to the point that it doesn't matter, even with bare hands, we will fight back. La République have exploited Ambazonia to the point that the Ambazonian youths, boys and girls, realize that they're going to die anyway. But they can die fighting or sit there and be killed. They said no. They have to stand up and go and take the battle, face the enemy. That's why our boys decided to fight back. Not because they were many in numbers, they could outnumber the Republic. No. It's just that was the only resort left for them. That was the only thing left for them. That was the only tool left for them to fight. You've seen where even a lion chases a mouse to the point that the mouse has nowhere else to go. The mouse will turn and attempt to fight. That is happening across Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Osmas. And talking about this, when you look at, there was a video that played at the start of this show, and that video showed someone who was being put on trial in South Africa. I think it was, Steve Biko, if I'm not mistaken, and he was facing the threat of death, and he could have said nice things that would allow him to be saved, to stay alive, but he said, no, we are in this together. You can kill me, but there are thousands and millions of me waiting out there. And this fight is a fight that we are going to win. I think that is the Ambazonian spirit right there. Because La Republic thought that they can brutalize us when we started with this resistance. They can brutalize us and we will give up. But they are realizing that we are determined to take this thing to the very end and that we are determined to win. No matter the violence, all the massacres they have committed against us, people are determined to make sure that we win. Now, again, on the African stage, as Riley said, there are some out there, especially on the international community, who feel that, who see this uprising of resistance against the status quo as to how Africa has been treated in the past. And they are asking, how dare Africa rise up and demand these things? That is the arrogance that some of them come across with. That how dare you stand up now and challenge to ask for what is rightfully yours? And I'm saying, it's not like Africa is asking for something that is not theirs. Africa is simply asking to be given back to them what is rightfully theirs. They are not asking somebody to give them anything. They are just saying, no, let us use our own resources for the good of our own people. And some look at it like it's it's um it's some kind of arrogance on the part of Africans who are simply demanding what is theirs. So, Honorable Senator Thomas, what do you say about this attitude, especially from the likes of France? That has been so.
What the
Bless you.
hell?
Bless you.
Thank you.
Especially on the part of France, that is just so arrogant and does not see anything wrong in what they are doing, but which is so apparent to everybody, including the Italian Prime Minister, who has lashed out against France for this very atrocious behavior. Uh, Honorable Senator Thomas, what is your take on this attitude, where some feel like Africa does not deserve what it's asking for?
Thank you for the question. The arrogance of the West, especially France, toward the African man had been there for more than 1,000 years. They've exploited us in many ways possible, thinking that in doing so, the African man will always be a sub human being under their tutelage and do whatever they think they can do with and get away with it. The West as a whole has a chance now to apologize to the African man, and the only way for them to apologize to the African man now, for we are not the generation of 1,000 years ago. We are not the generation that sold our brothers as slaves. We are not the generation that gave our countries in Africa to be colonized. We are not that generation that were used and that are still being used as puppets for the interest of the West. We have traveled, we are all over the world and have seen exactly how the world operates. We know what is good for us as Africans and what is bad. So it will be better for the West to let it go in peace now, for if they allow Africa, if us to push them out by force, we can survive as Africans without the West. They should know that we can survive without the West, but the West cannot survive without Africa. What can someone explain to me that the West is going to Africa to defend their interests? What is your interest that we are coming into my space? My space to defend. You are not coming to defend me in my space, that my rights are being trampled upon by someone, but you are coming in my space to defend your interest. You are prepared to come and kill me because you want to defend your interest. When has an African man left Africa to come to Europe to tell them, or America, to tell them how they want to come and defend their interests? And what interest do we have in Europe to come and defend? It would be better for them to make a fair deal with us. Not that it's still too early for us to forgive them of the crimes which they've committed in Africa for more than 1,000 years. For if they allow us, force them out, we will bring back all those crimes on the table. We will negotiate them accordingly, or we'll slam the door behind our backs and tell them it is time no more again. So the Europeans and the French in particular, they have played that game, and that game must come to an end. That wind of change that is blowing in Africa, they killed Gaddafi because Gaddafi was fighting that Africa should come together and stop this exploitation of Africa, not for the interest of Africans, but for the interest of the... Can you imagine that France is exploiting uranium in Niger, petrol elsewhere in Africa, and whatever minerals are exploited in Africa for free? The labor they cannot even give us, that we should work in the fields for them to pay us. They will bring in labor, bring in their machinery get the raw material, carry it elsewhere, and destroy our own environment. We do not have roads. We do not have good water to drink. We do not have electricity. Like Gaddafi, I told them, if you want to generate electricity in the Sahara Desert, it should be in partnership. Not that you will come to the Sahara, you generate electricity there for Europe, while Africans are there without electricity. They said, no, if we give you electricity, no more. We are not going to take it this time around anymore. They will either negotiate it with us in a fair share business, or they are going to lose everything this time around.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. But the thing is this: I think we are in a bit of a difficult situation here because most of the times those who come in to exploit Africa sometimes do not do it themselves. They do it with the help of fellow Africans. For example,
Enablers.
this current situation that is going on, where there is the threat of the use of violence against Niger, is being led by fellow African leaders, and I use the word leaders with a lot of reluctance. And these are the people who are leading the way, starting with Nigeria, Ivory Coast, I think Senegal. They are the ones that are beating the drums of an invasion to overthrow the leaders of Niger. And this has always been the case. We understand that just recently, when the eco currency by ECOWAS was about to be implemented, to be put in place, it is Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast who worked against the interests of his own very people with France to make sure that that currency did not come into place. So this is the difficult situation that Africans find themselves in. That the majority of the people actually want meaningful change, but those who are there calling themselves leaders are betraying the interests of the same people they are supposed to lead. And this has been Africa's problem. That puppets are put in place by others to serve their interest and not the interests of those they are supposed to represent. We have seen that time and time and time again. We have puppet leaders who have just no feelings for the people they claim to lead. And they take decisions that favor those who are there to extort and steal the resources of the people. And this time, I think the one country that is most guilty of this is none other than France. And I have an image here of France pumping out resources, and the money is coming out in France. Just to have put a visual effect on it, and I would like Chairman Patrick to comment on this when he has the time. You see, France is the one nation right now whose survival completely depends on Africa. That is why sometimes I wonder if Macron is actually living in France or is living in Africa, because he has been in Africa so many times that you sometimes think he's a president of an African country. It's all over the continent. I don't see the president of the United States over here. I don't see the chancellor of Germany here. I don't see the Italian prime minister, UK prime minister. I don't see them running into Africa the way Macron is doing. So, Chairman Patrick, how do we deal with this situation where the very people who are supposed to be championing this cause for change in Africa are the people doing the bidding of the imperialists? What are the people supposed to do? Does it mean that we need more coups? Maybe in Ivory Coast we need a coup. In Senegal we need one. And even in Nigeria, maybe we need one there. And not to talk of La Republic Cameroon. They are overdue for one. But I talk about La Republic. I'm not holding my breath on that one. Their soldiers are just too drunk to to be able to think about the complexities of a coup and execute. They are too drunk to do that. So I'll put them out of it. But they do need one though if they had a responsible military. So, Chairman Patrick, your comment on this, please. Chairman Patrick may not be there. I know if he's not, SOS Mars, can you take a dig at that?
Thank you. I was actually waiting for that. Yes.
Okay.
France has been the mother of the most destructive influence in Africa. France, de Gaulle once said, if the day that France will lose the African market, the French economy will collapse. Someone else said, without Africa, France will degenerate into a third world country. Yes. So France, don't worry about Britain, Italy, America, all those places. France is the economy of France, the life of France, the future of France is at stake. But the problem is that if you go all the time you put food in you want to put food in your mouth, you bite your finger. You bite the finger before you eat the food on it. You bite it before you eat the food on it. You will soon run out of the finger. And that is where France finds itself now. Unfortunately, we've got some stooge leaders like Paul Biya, like the one in the one who was just elected in Nigeria, whom France has given all the things that they think they need. They've sold their countries for their personal gains. When Biya came to power, he talked about rigor. He talked about a lot of good things. And we thought it could actually work. But no, he's demonstrated that he is as good as the rest. France has given them all the things and lied them that they can give them protection. Okay, when the people rise up against them, we will see the wind of change is flowing through Africa. It will clean out. It will clean out all these stooge people, get them all out. France will realize that it can we're no longer slaves. The day that they used to catch us and tie and sell, how long gone? We can now reason. Our people are no longer fools, as they call us Anglo fools. We're no longer fools. We've got a heart, we've got a bravery to face them. We're no longer scared. But Mali said the atomic bomb cannot stop the time. None of them can stop the change. The sooner they wake up, the sooner France wakes up and realize that we are humans just as them, and therefore all the things they've been doing to us were wrong, and they're prepared to treat us like equals. Unfortunately for France, they've got Russia, who is willing to come and give us the market, tell us, look, be on your own. Russia does not really need a lot from us. It just wants us to be free. But France, if it thinks that it will treat us like fifth-class citizens of the world, like slaves, like they are slaves, the reason why Italy, the Italian authorities are against France is because when France exploits all these resources from Africa and leaves Africa dry, the people who cross the Sahara and go across the sea, the Mediterranean, they end up on the shores of Italy. And Italy is not happy that France is eating and they're suffering. They're picking the pain. So France needs to wake up and realize that it needs to treat Africa like an equal partner in the business. And then we can do business with them. La Republic needs to wake up and realize that they cannot hold Ambazonians as slaves anymore. It's time. This is not a. It's not, to me. It's not even a negotiating matter. It's just a matter of time. The sooner they realize that we are not slaves, they've taken us as slaves for 62 years. It's no more. We're grown up. Our parents who used to be scared, they're not scared anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Mas. Yes, I think as much as we even blame France and maybe others for this situation, sometimes I think we have to blame ourselves more, especially when I say ourselves, I mean those who amongst us are enabling this behavior because we know exactly what's happening, but we allow it to happen. Because if you look at what is the other countries are doing, the leader of or the president of Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Nigeria, and they are trying to lecture Niger about democracy. But these are people who have altered their constitutions to allow them to run be, beyond the stipulated term of office for them, which is normally 2 terms. They have to change their constitutions to allow them to stay in power longer than they were allowed to. And to the person in Nigeria who blatantly stole an election in broad daylight, and you want to lecture Niger about democracy. I mean, what arrogance. So these are some of the situations that we have which are enabling this behavior on the African continent, because left for France alone, they will not do it, especially at this time when people are banding together. There is this yearning for this change. I think any leader who truly cares knows that nothing can happen to you, because even as you have these leaders that are being threatened, they came together and said, you know what, you attack one of us, you attack all of us. What did they do? They had to back down. They backed down, and the social media was up and hot about this thing, and people were planning to move across the continent to support them. And they realized that if they should start this thing, it may spiral out of control, and they were forced to back down. That is what we need. Band together and fight for your interests. That is what we need. So, Mr. Thomas, I don't want us to belabor the point. I think the message is clear. The wind of change is taking place. It will take longer to reach certain places. And the only reason we are talking about this is because France's atrocities do not just end with them, but they affect us right in Ambazonia. And that is the reason we are saying this, because if they can be chased out of Africa, then maybe we too will have some relief. So we can't wait for that to happen. I'll just give you maybe 1 minute to say a few words and we'll move on to the next topic. Abu Samatamas, I don't know if Chairman Patrick is
yeah. France and the West should know one thing, that their hands have been for too long on the chest of the African man, and the African man was not breathing freely. And if your hands are on the chest of somebody, you are pushing that person behind. If that person reaches a point that he can no longer be pushed, he will use a tactic to pull off your hand and block one of your leg. You will crumble, your nose will touch the floor. I know what is going to happen to you. You will get up with blood flowing down from your nostrils. Maybe your forehead is broken. That is what is going to happen to the West if they are not careful for the wind of change that is blowing in Africa now. For we will not accept enablers who were put in place by them, like Alassane Dramane Ouattara and Macky Sall. I thought Macky Sall was a Democrat. I never knew he was another enabler put in Senegal to do the bidding of the West. All these guys, they will leave and Africa will be free. They thought Gaddafi was alone. They thought Sankara was alone. They thought Nkrumah was alone. But their spirit keep on living. And we will get rid of them if they will not want to live in peace. I hear.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That said, that ends it for that topic. I would like for us to transition onto something else that is more Ambazonian. During the week, we saw a video of this guy who calls himself a senator, Mbela Moki. Mbela Moki came out, I think he's made two he has had two outings where he is trying desperately to reignite this their so-called northwest southwest divide, which they have used so long to keep us apart so they can continue to exploit us. They have used it so many times. So he came out this time again. I was trying to put some polish over it. And we saw him recently making some outrageous statements. And during the week, we saw a video where he actually made an appearance and shamelessly embraced and encouraged this murderer who is hiding in Boya right now. This murderer called Moja Moja. Belamuki was praising him and recognizing him for killing innocent Ambazonians. And before we go, I'd like for us to see the image of Moja Moja when he recently killed two innocent university students. And not only did he kill these students, he displayed their bodies in public and then he stood on them. He stood on the dead bodies of these students in public. And needless to add that nothing happened to him. Nobody even asked him a question. There was no interrogation, nothing whatsoever. These are two innocent students pulled out from their dormitories and shot dead in cold blood by this murderer called Moja Moja. And La Republique of Cameroon praised him for that. And then this guy who calls himself Belamuki, so-called senator, comes out and shamelessly was dancing and embracing this guy. Let's just watch that video first. Let's watch that video of Belamuki and then see the image of Moja Moja as he was standing over the dead bodies of these students. If we can see that, please. The video of Belamuki somewhere in Fako recently, and he was even he was really enjoying himself, trying to dance, dancing more like a chimpanzee, I should say, dancing like a chimpanzee, but he was dancing all the same, and very happy to embrace Moja Moja as a hero when this guy ought to be in jail. Moja Moja ought to be in jail, but he is being embraced by La Republique of Cameroon because whoever is out there killing innocent Ambazonians is a hero to them, and that is what they did. So I think that the video is delaying to load. So again, I'll come back to you, SOS Mas. You've watched that video. I don't know what you think about such a display from someone who says he's a representative of the people. What do you make of Belamuki's appearance with Moja Moja?
Well, Chairman Mike, it's very painful on this topic. Painful in the sense that someone who claims to be representing a people goes out there supporting and actually jubilating for the killing of those same people he claims to be representing. Mm-hmm. And it's sad that the two people we're talking about here, Belamuki and Moja Moja, are of Ambazonian descent. They're not La Republique. If it was La Republique, I would have had something else to say. But it's very sad that it is they are both of our descent. And they're killing our people and jubilating over the killing of our people in this manner. The manner in which Moja Moja killed these two students and displayed upon their bodies by standing upon them is very sad. It takes us almost back to the Stone Age. We're even talking about it is very painful for me that we're seeing this, we're witnessing this in this Stone Age. Even in the war in the war, and if you kill another soldier, you're not supposed to do that. But these children were not soldiers. A war does not mean humiliate. It's not humiliation. Therefore, Belamuki, who claims to be the representative of the people, to condone that and actually be dancing because of that, it questions, who is he representing? Is he representing our people at all? There will come a day that all those parliamentarians, those people representing our people or who claim to be representing our people in La République, there will come a day that they will have to seek refuge in La République. They will have to seek refuge in La République because we can no longer tolerate. Ambazonians have suffered enough. We have suffered for 62 years. And if anyone does not still see that and recognize that, then they have a big problem. Then they might as well just move across the Mongo and stay them there. That's all I can say. People like Belamuki should just pack their bags and go and live across the Mongo because it's very disgraceful and
Yeah,
painful.
yeah. Yes, I wish we actually had to watch that video because what I wanted us and viewers to see was the environment where this man was talking. He was talking in front of a house. You look at the floor is all dusty, and with the least rain, that place would have all been mud. It would have all been mud. The house looks so dilapidated. The roof, the sheets are almost falling apart, and he is standing in this environment, and he is proud to chastise and denigrate others. But you look at him and say, what good has he brought to the people or that he claims to represent? Because of recent, we saw the images of Ombe College, that used to be a prestigious institution, is now a shadow of what it once was. What really has his leadership brought to the people he is supposed to be leading? Look at Sonara. Look at the Victoria Deep Seaport. Who is controlling it? It has been promised over and over again that it will be built. Nothing is there. Most of the CDC even is barely surviving, and the proceeds, you don't know where they're going. And to him, he does not see anything wrong with this image. He does not see anything wrong with it. All they are talking about is north, northwest, southwest. And I'm asking, how is anyone from the northwest responsible for any of these things? The land, the very land in Fako has been bought by a lot of people to Cameroon citizens. When I say bought, it has been shared amongst themselves. So this is what this man is bringing to his people. And the only reason you find a few people standing there with him is because of hunger and all. Like, people just come to such places so that at the end of the day, maybe they get something to eat and maybe a bottle of beer. Since that is now a thing back home. So that is it. It's not because people buy into what he is saying. They're just there so that at the end they give them a bottle of beer and they drink and go home. But the people are suffering because you can see on their faces, you can see in the environment where he was even standing, all looking dusty and muddy, but he has no shame. Honorable Sama Thomas, I want you to take a dig at when these people like Mbelamoki, after failing to give their people real beneficial results from their governance, they come and they make this empty noise, and they want to blame someone else for their own failures. Because they failed to lead, they want to blame someone else for their failures. I mean, how much more can we do to enlighten our people to be able to see through this smoke screen?
Well, Comrade Mike, you know, for example, what the West is doing in Africa by exploiting Africa is that what they usually do is they send what we call hit men to go in and do the job. So what Mbelamuki and Moja Moja are doing, Mbelamuki and Moja Moja are hit men of La Republique. That La Republique has contracted them to do the job that we struggled in 1993 in Mount Mary to repair, which was never existing. But the Bamida people struggled to repair something that was never existing. So when we found out that we struggled, that we resolved that situation, La Republique must find a way to bring right men, and the soft spot they could find was Belamuki and Moja Moja. If you ask in Belamuki, in Boya, there is no pipe-borne water to drink in Boya. But look at the mountain. How many rivers are flowing down from the mountain in Boya? But there is no pipe-borne water in Boya for his citizens. Let me put it that way, to drink.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
The people, as a village, they've contributed money and constructed a water tank up the hills in Banja to supply the entire village of Gwen with water, and not La Republic. All communities in Bamenda are struggling to see if they can construct boreholes to give water to all the quarters in Mancon and all the environs surrounding Mancon. It's not Larbu doing all these things. There is no quarter in Mancon or Bamenda that is not linked with a bridge, a motorable bridge. Those bridges are not built by La Republic, they are built by the community. Mbolamuki, you call him Mbelamuki and Moja Moja, they are in Boya. Can they compare the development of Boya with Bali? Can they compare it with Bambui? You cannot compare Boya, which is the capital of the southern Cameroons, with Bambui Bambili. For Bambui and Bambili are far more developed than Boya. And Mbelamuki is not ashamed of himself that the capital of the southern Cameroons, where he claims to be a senator, senatoring who I don't know, is not as developed as a village in Bamenda. But all he can do, instead of fighting the occupational system to provide his people with drinking water, to provide his people with roads that they can walk on, Mbelamuki's problem is the Bamenda man. What has the Bamenda man taken from Mbelamuki is what we cannot tell. When the people have taken all University of Boyaland, building there for themselves, they've cleared all the plantation from the raw plantation to the plantation and taken it as piece of plot for themselves. Mbelamuki is not seeing all those things. He is not fighting against these intruders, of which there is a law put in place by La Republique that if you are sent elsewhere as an administrator, you must not acquire landed property in that area. But in Mbelamuki and they've allowed this.
Thomas, let me just respond to one guy here who asked the question. How are you people in the diaspora helping the situation? And let me respond to him. Maybe he doesn't know. Someone who, if you are really, I don't know where you are. If you are in Ground Zero and you ask that question there, you are very clueless. That person who asked that question should understand that without the money that we send here back home, that country will be in deep trouble. The only reason that country is even functioning a little bit is from the remittances that we send back home to support the economy of that country. Because we have people back home and we're sending money every time. It is from the money that we send, from the projects that we sponsor, that economy is even existing a little bit. It's not from anything that is coming from there. Whatever they are doing there is very minuscule. So I just wanted to respond to this person I call himself what Williamson Elizabeth, if that's even a real name. So that is what we do. We send money home, and that is what is helping to keep the economy going. Okay. Now, Honorable Sama Thomas, I don't know if you're done with your thoughts there, then we can move on. But you know,
Let me.
as you were saying, the only reason you see the likes of Mbelamoki coming out and saying this thing is because he has nothing else to offer the people. That's the very reason. What has he got to offer the people? Is he going to say, okay, I sponsored this water project that I'm now here to inaugurate? He has nothing to offer. What can he give to the people? So the only thing that he can give is to come and point a finger at somebody else, a Bamenda people. What have you done, Belamuki, to help improve your people, improve the lives of your people? Like this person who is asking here, what have you in the diaspora done? What have your senators and parliamentarians who are in power, what have they done? They are the ones in control. What has your president done? Let me ask this guy here, Williamson Elizabeth. What has Paul Biya done? What have the parliamentarians done? What have the so-called senators done? What have the governors done? What have they done? They are the ones leading the country, right? They should be the ones providing the solutions to the people. Don't ask people in the diaspora who are doing a lot that you don't even understand. Don't ask them what they have done, because we do a lot. Without us, that country will be in deep shit. So now, I don't know if you have anything to add before we move on. SOS Mass. I just had to. SOS Mass, are you still there? I don't hear you. Honorable Sama Thomas, are you still there? I hope I don't have an issue with my audio.
I'm there.
Okay.
Well,
all right. I think SOS Mass left his seat. He should be coming back shortly. So yes, like I was saying, Honorable Sama Thomas, people like this, I've seen quite a good number of their agents. Like Republic has realized that we are hitting them hard. So you see some comments that are coming up where they send some of their enablers to come in here and make comments, derogatory comments. But if you come here and you're not respectful in the way you present yourself, we'll take you out, because we will not take any nonsense here, because we will not even come to your own network and ask a question, because you don't, first of all, allow people to make any statements there. So, but you will not come here and say just anything and get away with it. No. So what do you have to say about all these enablers who are roaming around, pretending? One said here that Cameroon is one and indivisible. We will see about that. We will see about that. If it's one and indivisible, how come your administrators are now going about in armor cars? They are going around in bulletproof vests, even on your so-called national days. You find a so-called Dio sitting at a grandstand with a helmet and a bulletproof vest. I mean, it's comical. These people, they are just so shameless. But you haven't said anything yet. That is going to be, either we have said it, either Ambazonia will be free or La Republic Cameroon will sink. That's the way it's going to be. So you have further thoughts on this topic before we move on.
Yeah, like I was saying, there is a law in La Republic Cameroon that if you are sent elsewhere as an administrator, you have no right to acquire landed property in that area. But the Mbelamukis have allowed the whole of Boya to be owned by the likes of the so-called general, what they call general or governor. That is the proconsul that is up there in Boya, calling himself governor, and all the SGOs and the GOs, even their military men have acquired property without buying those lands. Instead of Mbelamuki picking an offense with these people who have encroached into Boya and have taken all the land in Boya for themselves without even paying for, his problem is the Bamenda man. For that fellow who called himself Williamson Elizabeth, there is nobody in the southern Cameroons that I know that I've ever come across
Of that name.
such a name in Israel. So if that fellow is man enough, he or she should come up with his or her real names so that we should know how to address her. Furthermore, she should know that I, as an individual sitting here, I came into Europe in 2005. There is no year that goes by without me putting at least 2 million francs in that country, not for any business of mine, not for any investment of mine, but that money is going in for free to support people back home. Fast forward, when this revolution starts, that money had even tripled. And such a fellow is asking that stupid question. Are we the diasporans, La Republic government, that's supposed to develop La Republic on his or her behalf if she's not a fool? Are we the one to put in place developmental policies in that country? Anyway, we have tried for the billions of CFA that we put in that country, which all they can do is to steal it and put it in their personal coffers. That does nothing for the development of the country. They are the ones to be blamed and not us, for we've done our utmost best to see if we can alleviate those fools out of poverty and underdevelopment, but they've chosen to be in that society of theirs which will never embrace development. We are not going to be with them in that situation.
And may I add here that when you see very ignorant people who are just so clueless about what they're talking about, they just come and run their mouths without knowing what they're talking about. Do you know how many people have left here with equipment to go and set up businesses back home, and they got to the Douala port or whatever they call it, and they are so frustrated that they abandon the things and leave and never come back again? Do you know how many people? Do you know how many people have gone home and tried to establish a business, and someone will just come and stand there and say they are there to collect taxes, and they frustrate you because out here you pay taxes on your profits. You don't pay taxes on inventory. But they will just come and look at the store and say, pay this much. They don't care how much you have sold. And that's how they have frustrated a lot of people. And they've just abandoned things there and they've left. Things that and the things remain there and they rot away with no one being able to use them. So, like you said, if only this ignorant person here knew how much leaves the diaspora into that economy. It's billions each year that leave the diaspora into that economy. Take it out and La Republic will be in deep trouble, okay? That is what we do. That is what we do. So let us move on from there. The next topic I'd like for us to talk about is we have heard about many conferences. The attempt to have an all Ambazonia conference, but for some reason, we have not been able to all come together as we have done before to have a conference that will help us to at least start speaking with one voice and doing things together for a common good of this struggle. And I think this can be explained by the fact that, you see, La Republica has always succeeded by infiltrating any initiative that the Amazonian people are trying to engage in. They send in their own agents to come in there and act as the spoilers to make sure that it doesn't work. And I think what we are seeing here now is seeming to be the same thing here again, yet again, that there are some agents amongst us who they pretend to carry the amber flag, they pretend to sing our anthem, but then they go out there and when we are trying to do things that will help us move forward, they come in with some very funny ideas. They are sneaky, they don't want to lay the cards on the table for all to see. and and at the same time they are pretending. They are pretending to be doing for the right reasons. And there are some people who are so blind to these tactics of the enemy. Uh, we have heard of a conference that is supposed to be held in Canada, and several attempts have been made to make sure that uh, those involved with the organization come clean and explain exactly what they are working on and what they intend to achieve. But they have continued to gather some few people. I went through the list and I saw even some messages coming out during the week where even fighting groups on the ground that are not known to be doing anything much were being touted as some of the main participants. And I'm wondering, are they waiting to get there before they start fighting or what? So I don't know if SOS Mars is back. I would have loved for him to give us his take on it. And of course, there's another initiative where some international partners are helping to organize Ambazonians to do a more in-depth, more grassroots consultation effort to make sure that all stakeholders are reached out to and that their input is sought so that they give their own ideas on what a real AMBA conference is supposed to look like and what they would like to see put in place as a program for such a conference. So that initiative is taking place, and I think there's a come together scheduled for Washington D.C. or the Maryland area this 24th, I think 24th, 25th, and 26th of this month, August, to make sure that the beginning of that consultation starts. So Ambazonians are being called upon to make sure that those around that area, or if you can travel, you travel and take part in this consultation. Let your ideas be heard. It's not this thing where people just speak to you from top down without listening to your own opinion on what you want. So it's an opportunity for people to come out and express how they would want an all amber conference to look like. I think that is the way it should be. This thing of people just speaking from the hilltop and expecting people to just follow should be over. That's not the way things ought to be from now on. Again, Amber Samatamas, it seems SOS Mars is not yet back. So I would like to get your take on this initiative and the lack of a more open process with the initiative in Canada. What do you think of it? Or SOS Mars is back. I'll give you the pride of place then. I'll give you the pride of place. Please go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for that question. I've been back as I was listening to you. Yes. When we talk about negotiation or planning for mere conferences where we want to work together, it should be something that Ambazonians are invited to, or they come together and they plan what they're going to do, they plan the conference together. Not a situation where some group will just wake up and call us, look, come to this meeting. What meeting? I'm not going to tell you the details, just come there. Listen, the first Canadian meeting that was held, they got in touch with me and they said, please try and persuade the leader to come. And I sent them 7 questions. There were 7 in number. And in there, one of the questions was, who is sponsoring this conference? Another question was, what is the agenda of the conference? Another one was, what do you really plan to achieve from this conference? What are your goals that if you get, you know that it was successful? If you don't, you know that it was not that successful. But they would not answer me. They would not even give me an answer to any of those questions. The 7, they did not even address any. Because those 7 questions went to the core of their existence.
Yeah.
People like the CDN, they go around saying, oh, we're just background negotiators. So we sit in the background and we do things. We want to help Ambazonia achieve what it wants to achieve. I said, okay. So whom do you work with? Oh no, you join us first, then we can tell you whom we work with. Who is sponsoring you? Oh, we cannot tell you. But we know, with the absence of evidence or anything to the contrary, we know that they're being funded from the Prime Minister's office in Yaoundé. But they're hiding behind that they want to hold a conference. Oh, they're from Ambazonia. They just want to gather Ambazonians and hand over to La République and negotiate a deal like special status. Special what? They want to organize special status for the English-speaking regions. Oh, Ambazonians don't have a problem. It's a La République problem. It's a national problem. No, we're not La République. We don't have anything with La République. La République can have their problem if they want to, but we have been enslaved. And the wind of change is flowing through Africa. We will get our freedom. It's just a matter of when. It's a matter of when, and it's coming. So La République can do what even in this America we're sitting, they used to sell slaves. But do you know what they call the American Civil War? Was because of slavery. The Americans fought, those in the north fought the ones in the south so that they can free the slaves. No matter how much La République holds us as slaves, we will one day be free. And that day is not too far off from now.
Yeah.
That day is not too far off from now. The blacklegs or the enablers, they can do their worst. All the Atangangis and all the Pauls and all, they can do their worst, but you cannot kill an ideology. This is an existential struggle. It's not a struggle between Chris Ano or one person against La République. It's an existential struggle for the southern Cameroons. And you cannot kill it. I can remember when I watched the video Roots, how the slaves were singing on the ship, we will win, we will win. They killed them, but eventually they got their freedom. So we in southern Cameroon, the enablers can do whatever they can do, just like our chiefs used to sell their children into slavery. Eventually, those slaves became free. We will be free. It's just a matter of when. They can kill, they're killing, they can carry on killing, but we will defend. And there's a song by Bob Marley. We know we shall win. We believe in the victory of good over evil. Yeah. We believe in that victory of good over evil. No matter how much humans they kill, good will prevail.
Yeah. So thank you.
But the conference in Canada, if CDN are not prepared to come out and tell us who is sponsoring them, what is the agenda, all those things, we will not go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I believe that there is still time for the right things to be done if they truly believe in an all-inclusive and transparent conference. There's still time for things to be done right if they're serious. People are asking questions about what do you have in place as the modalities for the conference. Let them out. Let people see them. If they are good enough, people will sign up and be part of it. But if you can't be hiding it and then expect people to just show up and attend a conference when they don't even know what the outcome is supposed to look like. Now, when it comes to the CDN, the impression they give is that they want to be the ones acting as the facilitators of not just the conference, but any relationship between us and La République du Cameroon. But my question is this: I've been wondering, why is a citizen insisting to be facilitator, because you cannot say that, oh, I'm just doing this to help. But when they say, all right, if you are just doing it to help, how about you allow someone else to do it? You say, no, I have to be the one to do it. So my question to the CDN is this: what's in it for you? What is in this effort for you? What do you stand to gain by performing this role? Can you say that you are just doing it for nothing? And then why are you insisting to be the only one to do it? What do you stand to gain? Huh? So I am a bit not very satisfied with this explanation that, oh, we are just trying to help. If you are just trying to help, let the people decide that it is you. Don't impose yourself and try to act like no one else can play this role but me. What gives you the right or qualification to be the only one? And again, what is in it for you? Why are you so insistent on being the only one to perform that responsibility? And yet you say you are not receiving any sponsorship from anywhere, and you want us to believe that? Because the last time I asked them during a meeting I had with them, that what is the source of your funding? And they said, oh, it's from individual members. But we know that's not the case. That's not true. We know they are receiving external funding. But now, when you start hiding things like that, I begin to doubt your sincerity and your intentions, and that's the problem. So, Honorable Sama Thomas, when you look at the way the CDN has conducted itself with regards to this conference, where they are not willing to come clean, they are not willing to involve others in the planning process, in the modalities establishment. What do you feel about their behavior, the way they are handling things?
Well, the very first thing I'm going to say is that it always troubles me when I hear a Southern Cameroonian saying that he's doing something in the Southern Cameroon struggle at the position of neutrality. How neutral can you be at the face of the massacre of our people that is going on back in the Southern Cameroon, and you claim to be neutral? If you are neutral, are you from Nigeria or you are a Southern Cameroonian? Are you an American or you are a Southern Cameroonian? So how can you be neutral? There is no neutrality from the point of any Southern Cameroonian to claim that I am neutral. That's what I want. First of all, they're talking among Southern Cameroonians like what the CDN is trying to do. It's not La Republique that is calling us to come together and sit and talk with them. We are coming together to sit amongst ourselves with the CDN to talk what? Even if we are to talk, that they say they want to rally all the leaders together so as to see how we can bridge the gap amongst ourselves. Why are you not coming out in good faith that let us work together? Why has the CDN chosen to create many groups? I heard they say they have 26 groups, which I don't know them. And they claim that I Sama Thomas, should come and sit with the CDN and these their 26 groups. To say what? What is this their 26 groups doing on the ground? What have they been doing on the ground for the past 7 years that they now have 26 groups to deal with, to negotiate with, to unite for the cause of the people of Southern Cameroon? There is something going on with the CDN that they are not telling us. But let me.
And the funny thing is that, I'm not cutting you, but the funny thing is that some of these groups are very shady groups. They call some civil society groups, and they call some groups from ground zero. And I'm wondering why the insistence on bringing people out here to expose them. Do you expect them to go back to ground zero? And if they don't go back to ground zero, then what happens with the services they were providing there? Is it a ploy to decommission these people so they stop doing what they've been doing for the struggle?
That is doing a lot of public speaking by removing some of our fighters from the bush to come abandon them there. That is another way of calling for normalcy in ground zero. And if
a ceasefire,
you have worked for La Republique. Let me tell the CDN, the people can recognize as being neutral so far as reconciling all the leaders of the Southern Cameroon struggle is concerned. I've tried to do that before. I asked the Catholic Church to reconcile the leaders of the SCNC, knowing that the Catholic Church in union with the Presbyterian Church and the Baptist Mission, they can do that to bring all the leaders together. But the Catholic Church should also know, and the church in the Southern Cameroon should know, that they cannot even negotiate on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon with La Republic of Cameroon, like what Bishop Kea was telling us that Victor Muketa did in Yaoundé during the so-called national deadlock, which I don't know what that means. That the church was going there with a position of issue. Let me ask Bishop Kea, maybe he's listening to us now. Is the Catholic Church holding any gun, fighting against La Republique in the bush? How comes the Catholic Church was going to negotiate about federation with La Republique, of which they are not part of the belligerent parties? So they were going to negotiate on whose behalf? On the church's behalf, or on the behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon? On the people of Southern Cameroon who are fighting the bush, or on whose behalf were they mandated by us to go and do that job? They never said our opinion, but they were going to Yaoundé to go and negotiate our federation. Good enough, Victor Mukete torpedoed them there, but their day is coming that they will answer all these questions to people of Southern Cameroon.
Go ahead.
For the meeting which is coming up this month, I want to plead with all the leaders of the Southern Cameroons that we've been fighting ourselves for too long. We've been claiming responsibility and hitting our chest that it must be me. Let me put it this way, that the Catholic Church put it in a very nice way. They said, through me, with me, and in me, in the oneness of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is mine, Almighty Father. The syndrome of all glory and honor is mine. Through me and in me, with me, we must kill it. For it should be through us and not through me. The through me syndrome has kept us dancing at the same point for too long a time. Please, we should kill this through me syndrome, come together in America. Whatever differences we have with your brother, let us come together, sit as one man, and reconcile our differences, get out there and talk like a united people, and forge forward like a united people, so as to shorten the distance of and minimize of our people on the ground.
Thank you there so much. And I hope that the leaders are listening. I think this process that is being put in place now allows for everyone to have an input as to how this conference is done. You know, so it's not something that is being pushed down anybody's throat. You would have a chance to give your own ideas on what you want to see added to the program of the eventual conference, which has not been scheduled yet. What is taking place now is just consultative meetings or conferences, however you want to call it, towards the ultimate conference of all Ambazonians. So I think people should be open to come in and participate and give your own ideas. You cannot sit out and then later on say, but I wanted to see this in there. This is your chance to come in and make your own input as to how you want this conference to look like. Now, as you rightly said, this idea of people trying to take over a process without having the authority to make decisions that will affect the ultimate outcome. What am I saying here? There are people who are running around, even with this Canada thing, without the if there was a need to call for a ceasefire today, they will not be able to do it because they don't control much. They don't control much. They will not be able to call for a ceasefire, and yet they want to be the ones to sit and talk on behalf of Ambazonia. How can you talk on behalf of Ambazonia when you can't even make a decision that will have an impact on the ground? So that is one thing that I'm yet to understand, and that's why you see they're gathering some names, empty names that have no significance, names that have no input on the ground, and they're putting them out there and calling them groups. And the way they're doing it is just so very suspicious. And it looks like a way of making sure that these guys come out so they can leave the battlefield. And bringing in civil society organizations whose commitment to the struggle is not well established. We don't know what they are doing towards this liberation of the Southern Cameroons, or even whether they buy the ideology first. You can't bring in people who have no stake in the game, or whose idea of a free Ambazonia is a lot different from what we think or want. So this is something that, and that is why these people are running away from opening the book so that others can see exactly what they're working on, because they know that there will be opposition to what they are trying to do. So they are trying to keep some people, especially those they know will not stomach such a program, such an initiative. They want to make sure that they keep them out and just take some few yes people so they can go there and clap, and just like Republic does. So yeah, our last topic before we end the show will be this: their so-called special status. We have seen that Republic is very good at coming up with these fake structures that have when they know they have no intention of implementing it. We have seen them announce decentralization so many times. We have seen them announce projects, one being one that the president himself will personally supervise. But at the end of the day, nothing gets done. So they are very good at this. And so the last smoke screen or charade they had was their so-called national dialogue thing that they did, where they came up with their so-called special status. But since the end of that clown show, I should call it that, nothing has happened. Nothing. The special status thing has failed. I think we have to declare it that officially the special status has failed. Nothing has come out of it to make a difference in the lives of the people. Nothing has come out of it to make a difference in the governance. Nothing has come out of it to influence or to indicate any sharing or decentralization or sharing of power. Power is still very much centralized in Yaoundé. Their so-called colonial governors and DOs are still the ones wielding most power in their country. So I think we can declare the funeral of the special status. There's nothing has come out of it. It's a failure. We saw this errand boy, Dion Ngute, running around recently, going out trying to talk about special status, but he had nothing to show. There was nothing to show. That guy is so shameless. They keep sending him out to go out there and disgrace himself. The last time he came out, he said he was coming to announce that the Victoria Deep Sea Port will be constructed. To this day, nothing has happened. I don't know how he goes about, how he keeps his head. That's one very shameless guy. So, S.S. Mas, what do you make about it? What do you make of this this clown show that took place? They call as national dialogue to whatever they held around it. I mean, to those who held it, made noise. This is that other idiot called. Let's listen to what he's saying.
The entire member, we for here don't like opposition. I'm gonna be green. When I be saying I don't want to see Ambazonia for here. He wanna be the next day when I want Ambazonia Prime Minister for the year to go. Governor between me Sunday when I the job. He said,
just look at the house where he is standing. Look at that cardboard house. Look at the cardboard house. Look at the roof. Look at the floor where he is standing. Look at the floor where he is standing. That's the so-called senator.
Chairman Mike.
Yeah.
I want
Yes, sir.
for your presence.
Oh, Chairman Patrick, you're back.
Yes.
Yes, I will. Yeah, you have seen this guy. What do you have to say about this? Like I said, you needed to see him dance. He danced like a chimpanzee.
Chairman Mike, I just want to say sometimes when you look at people who cannot win a simple election, who do not even have the qualification to hold any public office, and they have been appointed by the Yaoundé regime to be senators. I don't know how they are not shameless to go stand there and be talking about how he was eating with the governor. I'm sure it was a big pride for him to sit with the governor and be eating. That's why he's talking about it. And when he's talking about Ambazonia, talking about the prime minister here because we have rejected Ambazonia, what is the prime minister coming to do for these people that are standing there clapping? So it's just like when Pobia comes to or whatever comes to their village, they get excited that somebody has come there. But the person is going to leave the next day. You people are going to be the same. And you sit there and talk about if the prime minister came, what is he coming to do? Some Belamaki should be ashamed of himself because we thought that was somebody that has some brains to even speak to some of the authorities. But this guy is just shameless. And he's even, they're trying to even honor the other guy who is killing Southern Cameroonians. Moja, they call him. But these are people that will one day be ashamed to even get out of their own homes, to even walk out on the street, because when Ambazonia will be a reality, they will not have their heads, they will not have a place to keep their heads. So some of their languages, the good thing is the social media, some of these messages will be on cloud. They'll be saved and played when Ambazonia is a reality for some of them to really watch how stupid they made themselves, being happy that the prime minister came. What is he coming to do? So it's a shame, some of these things that these guys do back there.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for coming back, Chairman Patrick, to make that input. This is how I have said already that the only reason these people keep going back to all this divisive language is because that's all they have. That's all they have. When you come out as a senator, normally we know politicians out here, you are able to point out, okay, I passed this bill that will make your lives better. I made sure that this project here was initiated that will make your lives better. Now, when these guys come out like Mbelamoki, what can Mbelamoki point to? What will he point to? What has he done that has really lifted the people up? He hasn't done anything. So the only thing he has to do is you say, oh, you see, despite the fact that you don't have water here, but you see that Bamenda man there, he's the cause of all your problems. You see that those Northwesterners, they are the cause of your problem. But how? Are they the ones in charge of the country? Are they the ones? Is the Bamenda man the governor? Is the Bamenda man the DO? Is the Bamenda man the mayor? Is the Bamenda man the senator? So what has a Bamenda man got to do with anything? So they're looking for a boogeyman. They're looking for their boogeyman. The Bamenda man has become the boogeyman. Anything that goes on, oh, is that Bamenda man? Oh, it's very funny, but it's funny and sad at the same time, But these people, the good thing is that Ambazonians are very wise to this nonsense now. They don't buy it. Ambazonians have seen it many times. They come out because they don't have anything to offer. They want to blame someone else for their own failures, for their own abysmal performance. How do you expect someone who was simply appointed? Appointed. He was not elected. He was not a choice. He was not chosen by the people. So he's talking on what authority is he even speaking to the people? It's just that our people are so gullible that they allow this nonsense to go, but it's coming to an end. I think, Honorable Samatoma, I don't know if you have said anything about this, but what do you say about this special status that has failed and this clown show that is being put there? I want us to at least see Moja Moja come out and bow down, and this guy was blessing him. This guy was
A
blessing
chief.
Moja Moja.
A chief.
Yes,
A chief.
calling him a chief.
A chief.
Can you believe
A
that?
chief is being played by a commoner.
Oh,
What an irony.
culture indeed. Culture upside down. It's funny, I tell you.
Let us allow
The
this
culture
crowd.
instead of the chief blessing the commoner, the commoner is
The
blessing the
commoner
chief,
blesses the
and the
chief.
chief is bowing down. Oh Lord, have mercy. This is this is comical. You call that culture?
That was the worst part of the
Yeah.
whole. That was the worst part of the whole show. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yes.
go. You're asking me to talk about the special, about the Republic special status that we should declare it. That no, it died the same day that they declared it in that same conference hall. It never left the doorsteps of that conference hall elsewhere. But the fun is that, La Republic has always been in this game of pretense. The ring road was completed 30 years ago. The Victoria Seaport, deep seaport, was completed 50 years ago. The so-called reconstruction during war. You read newspapers in La Republicana that they are appreciating the development that the reconstruction committee had achieved. For they've done a lot more than 70% of the reconstruction work has been done. So who are these people fooling? I saw a video from whom that one guy, God have mercy on us, and God had mercy on that guy.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
he tumbled into a sinkhole in the middle of the road from whom with a motorbike, and they were washing his head with our
They're
people
washing the mud from. Yeah.
and the Committee of Reconstruction and Development has completed its job in the southern Cameroons. So who are these guys fooling? Special status never left, like I said, special status was deaf and buried only in that hall. Do you know that Belamuki has even failed to ask La Republique that where is the special status that we even agreed upon in that hall when we left Yaoundé? For I've not felt the
How
impact
do you
of
expect him to
special.
ask? How do you expect him to ask? The guy was appointed. Don't you remember? He was appointed. You want him to bite
So
the finger that that brought him
this
fame?
these comedians that are going about with their comedy in the southern Cameroons, I got bad news for them. I've promised them this over and over. How can Belamuki, a whole senator, be saying that he was invited by the governor to come and eat with him, and it's a pride from Belamuki to go sit with a proconsul and eat with him and eat with him and becomes that Mbela will go out there to propagate. The news I have for them is that the day that proconsul will be going, Moja Moja and the likes of Belamuki, all of them who got themselves parliamentarians, senators, councillors, and mayors should join them across Bonaberu. For if they don't, the punishment that awaits them.
When you ask the question that how can he do that? And the question is this: in order for you to allow yourself to be used like that, you must first of all mentally be willing to subject yourself to such humiliation. That is why Bob Marley says you have to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. As long as you are mentally enslaved, you can never free yourself physically. You, I saw there was a video where uh, a horse, a horse was had a rope that was put around its neck, and that rope was given to, I think it was a dog to hold. A dog was holding the rope, and a horse, yes, yes, that rope was being held by a dog, and the horse was obeying the dog. That is mental slavery. The horse has agreed that that dog has the right to control it. And that is why the dog will pull the rope and the horse that is more powerful will follow. That is what happens to these people. That is what happens with these people. Belamoki does not see himself on an equal stage with Okalia Bulai. He sees Okala Belai way up there, and he is way down here. So if Okala Belai says, "Come and eat with me," oh God, I'm climbing high now to go and eat with Okala Belai. So that is
the Lord's Supper. That was just the Lord's Supper.
But Amoki is a slave. Yeah. Yes. I don't know if you ended. Let me pass the opportunity to. Are you done, Honorable Sama Thomas?
Let me conclude by this: that Belamuki, when I ate the Lord's Supper with the Kalabita.
He went and ate the Lord's Supper with Okalabilai. That's so self-deprecating, you know. Chairman Patrick, I don't know what you have to say about how can people humiliate themselves this way. It is so. We are laughing at it, but it's pitiful. It's so pitiful that a grown man who probably has a wife at home will humiliate himself in public like that. It's so self-deprecating. What do you think about Belamoki's performance?
Well, Chairman Mike, I think I already made my point about Belamoki. Belamoki is an opportunist that was selected and appointed to represent nobody. And he is so excited because he went and sat with the governor. But one thing I'm going to say is about their special status. You know, the politicians, those who are running La Republic, I think they went to school in the 40s or 60s to the 60s. And they had that mentality where they believe that manipulating people will give them the upper hand to run over them. That is why La Republic has been using every possible avenue to make people in their country to think that they are doing something to resolve the problem in the southern Cameroon. And the first thing you would start asking is, what is the difference between a region and a province? Then you go from there, you look at them switching from bilingualism commission to DDR to what they are calling today as a special status. From what I understand, you give a special status to people that are disabled. You don't give a special status to people that are feeding you. So what La Republic has done for the past few years is using how high-sounding language to think they are trying to manipulate people. But the bad news to them is the people that are fighting the Ambazonia revolution today are more intelligent than them. And the people are more determined. They know what they want. Changing names and making all kind of appellation doesn't move anybody. The reality is clear. Ambazonia is going to be a reality. It might be delayed, but it's going to be a reality. They can do everything. They can bribe every single fighter out there, bribe everybody that they think they can bribe. I use every appellation to think people are thinking they're doing something. So at the end of the day, Honorable Thomas made it very clear that they failed the first day they brought the idea as a special status, because you cannot give a special status to people that don't need it. These are the same people that are feeding you, but you're giving them special status. So what do you want to accomplish? When you give a name, you have to define and identify what you want to accomplish by putting up this name. Not just say special status. What is special status in their own context? So it's one of those avenues that we have all seen that La Republic has tried every game to see that they even maybe they've used those languages and cajole the people, but unfortunately everything is failing in their face. And right now the worst part of it is the international community is not buying their lies. They've given them the opportunity to resolve this problem, but they keep creating their own solutions, cosmetic solutions, and very soon they will start seeing the reality on them. And people are going to know that if you are supporting the Republic thinking you're a Southern Cameroonian, just make sure you are moving over to their territory, because there will be no forgiveness. We might forget some of it, but we will not forgive some of these people like Melakoki and this guy called Moja, who are there killing our people in the name of Northwest Southwest. There is nothing like Northwest Southwest. That was a divisive appellation that was brought by the colonial masters just to get our people to think they are different people. So again, it's a shame, but Belamoki should just go back to school and learn how to be a man among his own people, not to go take blessing, not to try to bless a chief.
No, he actually did. He actually blessed the chief, you know. He actually blessed the chief, and the chief was so happy to bow down and accept the blessing. You know, as we're saying, the point is this: La Republic has always done this. They never solve any problem. Let me say it again for Ambassadors. La Republic de Cameroon never solves any problem. Whenever there's a problem, they create a bag of emptiness, a bag of a smoke screen. When you reach out to touch it, you realize there's nothing there. They always create an excuse not to solve the problem. And they give you the impression that they are working to solve the problem, but they are not working to solve the problem. It's just to buy time. And eventually you realize that the problem, how long ago? It was 1994 that the decree was passed for decentralization to take place in that country. 1994 to this day. How many years is that? Yeah. 1994 to this day.
After the so-called national land demand.
So they don't do anything with clean intentions. It is in their DNA. If they tell you to wait here, I'm coming. As soon as they turn their back and they are moving north, you should be moving south. If they are moving east, start moving west, because as they are going, they are not coming back. These people are very untrustworthy. Their word means nothing. They have learned from France, their masters, deception, lies, and stealing. Very good at stealing. Those are the things they do well in. Deception, lies, stealing, and laziness. That's what they do best. So if you're hoping for a brighter future tomorrow with La Republic Cameroon, I'm very sorry for you, because that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I would like to give each of you now, my panel, again, I want to really thank you for coming out today in support of this program, so that we continue to enlighten and educate our people. But I will give you each of you a minute to make your summary statements on. You can pick any of the topics we've talked about, or a summary of everything, and then we can call it a day. Sorry again for the hitches we had at the start, but I think it's been a good program all the same. I believe Ambazonians have learned quite a bit from all these games that our Republican likes to play. People who are hoping there's something good, there's no light at the end of the tunnel with La Republican. None. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's misery. It's misery. Look at their leadership. There's no leadership in that country. People are just stealing whatever they can steal now and hide. That's what's happening there. The country is going down. So I would give Chairman Patrick. I know that I had to bring you in from work. You may still be running to another. So I'll give you the pride of place so you can finish and carry on with the rest of your activities for the day. Just make your final statements and we'll call it a day.
Well, Chairman Mike, my fellow panelists, Chairman Mas and Honorable Sama, I just want to say Ambazonia is a fire that we've all dedicated ourselves to see that we realize it. And to realize Ambazonia, we're going to sacrifice in so many different ways. I know I take off every hour I get to make sure I talk to Ambazonian people. I can say one or two things that Ambazonians will learn from it that will educate us to move this revolution to the next level. But my talking point, my last word here is about some fellow Ambazonians that felt like they own the Ambazonian revolution and they are calling other Ambazonians coup plotters or using all kind of appellation to call others. If you look at what is going on in La Republique, there are a few people in Yaoundé who think they own that country. And unfortunately, that is what some of our people thought they were going to do, to own our own country, Ambazonia, and run it the way they wanted. Create a clique of maybe friends or whatever. But unfortunately, we are fighting a war. We are fighting a revolution that is going to be based on some transparency and honesty. If you get up and call somebody a coup plotter, you have to ask yourself, what coup were they planning and against who? What are they taking from you? Ambazonia is a country that is owned by the Ambazonian people, not a group of people who will sit there and bring up names just because they want to create some madness out there. That it has already demonstrated that if some of these people had the opportunity to get to Boya, they are going to be worse than what the Republic is doing today, because they felt like they own it and they were going to tell some other people, no, you cannot come here because you are not an Ambazonia, or you are a coup plotter, or you are this or that. It's pitiful, but this is education for everybody. Every single Ambazonian should know you have a stake in this revolution. You have a voice in this new country, and you have the ability to move this country to the next level. The little that you do today will be felt by the children that we are working towards, we are working for, to create an Ambazonia that everybody will feel to be working towards the positive side of everything. We are going to have an Ambazonia that the law is going to be the topic of the day, and anybody going in for corruption will be prosecuted against all odds. We are seeing in America today, the former president of the United States did things when he was president, but those things are coming after him today because he felt like he was the law. He was going to try to use every avenue to do things that are not appropriate against the laws of the country. That is what is going to happen when we get to Ambazonia. People that were corrupt, people that did things that were wrong or delayed this revolution, they will be prosecuted, and Ambazonia will all shame them. But if you call someone a coup plotter, ask yourself, a coup against who? Against what? You do not own Ambazonia. If you think you own Ambazonia, you are making a mistake. Thank you, fellow panelists. We'll try to do this a little more because we want Ambazonian people to be aware of how and what we're doing and what we want to accomplish going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaman Patrick. I want to appreciate your sacrifice. Despite your work constraints, you still made time to be here. So I just want to thank you for that. Um, um, yeah, Sama Thomas, why don't you make your own closing remarks and we'll end it there for the day.
I want to say thank you to Comrade Patrick for making that statement, but I'm not going to go there. What I can only say is that this attitude of my inheritance, the Southern Cameroons, should be cured at all costs. For all of us have the inheritance of whatever we think the Southern Cameroons has to offer to each and every Southern Cameroonian. That notwithstanding, I want to say to our brother that instead of being baptized or submerged like the Baptist Church will baptize people in water to receive God's baptism, he received the baptism of mud.
Oh, Lord.
It's pitiful that our brothers are receiving the baptism of mud in what was supposed to be roots for us to
Maybe his desperation, the blood of our fallen that he slaughtered is on him, and he's finding ways of calming it down. There's no way that baptism will not work. The blood of those innocent souls he slaughtered will continue to chase him.
with that statement, I just want to say that for you guys who are on the ground as a foot soldier, a foot soldier does not have a permanent place as a base. A foot soldier keeps on moving. For if you carve out a space that this is my, I live there, I stay there, that is where you will be killed like a chicken. So always keep on moving so as to evade the activities of your enemy. Please, you guys should take your security into your own hands and take it seriously. I hear.
Thank you very much, Sama Thomas. It's always a pleasure having you on. Yeah, I think you're one of those that's always very available to come and share your thoughts with the Amazonian people. We greatly appreciate it. As always, Mas, as you're the last person to make your own comments.
Thank you, Chairman Mike. Actually, I was waiting for my turn for the special status. I will do that in my last comment. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow comrades, my colleagues from Ground Zero all over the world, Ambazonians, there is nothing like a special status for Ambazonia. A special status is given from a master to a subordinate. La République cannot give Ambazonia a special status. Even when they were in the federation, they were equals. So they cannot give a special status. A special status if La République had a slave or had conquered some people. You can give like in the days when Abraham Lincoln was fighting for the liberation of slavery. Some slave masters gave the slaves some special status. Now they can now sit at the eat in the kitchen or those type of special status. No, La République cannot give Ambazonia a special status. We don't want any special status. We are equals. So this thing we're even discussing whether La République can even, they should not even think of giving us a special status. We're not their slaves. By even mentioning that they will give us a special status is an insult. We in the 60s, we decided to come into a federation that was never even formalized as equals. There was La République de Cameroon and there was Southern Cameroon. two independent nations. How dare can La République say they will even give Southern Cameroon a special status? What are they to give? So, brothers and sisters, anyone who is mentioning to you about a special status considers you as their slave. If you want to remain a slave, please buy it. Buy into that ideology. But I don't. They don't have the right to give me a special status. They don't have the right to give Ambazonia a special status. We were not their slaves. They didn't conquer us in a war. Yes, they might have colonized us through the back door. They did not conquer us through the war, and we will not accept, we will not answer sir to them. So the notion of special status is that it should be, every Ambazonian should consider that an insult. That they're thinking that they are slaves. So comrades, let's hope that very soon, we will be free and be able to walk with our heads high in Boya. But we cannot do that alone. We need all of us to work together so that we can get to that Boya. But anyone who does not want to work with us, the route to Mongo, across the Mongo is free. You can move to La République. But you cannot be in a land and you say that you're giving us special status. The days of slavery are over for good. We're a lot wiser. So please, don't accept insults. Thank you.
Thank you again, SOS Miles. Thank you very much for coming on and for your contribution and participation on this program. Fellow Ambazonians, we are experiencing this wave that is blowing through our continent at this time. When the struggle between the Southern Cameroons or the conflict broke out, some people thought that this was rather that maybe this conflict was as a result of Ambazonia not being candid enough or being willing to sit down and negotiate with La République Cameroon. But time and time again, opportunities have risen where La République Cameroon could have sat down with the people, with the leadership of the Ambazonian struggle and resolved this issue, but they have refused to do that. It was first with the Swiss, and they shunned it, and then again recently in Canada, and they again pulled out, despite being the ones that called for those talks. They have insisted on making sure that we bend to their own will, because they really are not interested in giving any concessions. So this wind that is blowing through the continent should now be very clear to all of us. We are now seeing that it is not just Ambazonia. Burkina Faso is doing the same thing. They are standing up and demanding that the shackles of colonization that are being held by France must be broken. We have seen the Malians stand up and demand the same thing. We have seen now Niger standing up to demand the same thing. It is not just us, and we realize that our suffering is as a result of things that other people are doing to us. And we are saying enough is enough. Unfortunately, if La République Cameroon were thinking with us and reasoning with us, we should have been fighting together to break this yoke of colonization that France continues to impose on the African continent. But they have chosen to be enablers. So it makes it difficult for us to work with La République to break these bonds of slavery. And that is why Ambazonia has decided to go its way. So, fellow Ambazonians, if the question I would like to ask each and every one of you is this. When you look at the trajectory, the path on which La Republique is now going, do you see yourself hoping for something better tomorrow? Do you see a brighter tomorrow for that country? And if the answer is no, and you are not doing anything to ensure that there is that brighter future tomorrow, I think that is what is called irresponsibility. It is irresponsible on your own part if you know that the vehicle you are sitting in is going down a ditch and you are not doing anything to get out of it. Ambazonians have chosen to get out of this vehicle that is headed for a crash before it gets there. That is all we're doing. We don't want to be casualties at the end of this very dangerous ride. Ambazonians want to get out of this vehicle because we can see that the end will not be good. And that is all we're asking. We're not asking for any favors. We are simply asking for what is rightfully ours, our own freedom. We came willingly to try this experiment, though coerced with La Republique du Cameroon. And this experiment has been the worst mistake that we ever made. And it is time for us to correct it. It is time for us to correct this mistake that has cost our people a lot in terms of developmental projects, in terms of wealth, in terms of our dignity, and in terms of the lives of our people that have been lost. So you have seen that they have failed even to implement their own special status, which they initiated and conducted. The terms of their own special status have not been implemented. So, fellow Ambazonians, if you have been standing out, sitting on the fence, the time for you to come in is now. If you got tired, the time to come back in is now. Let us finish this journey because that's the only way we are going to provide relief to our people. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you again for watching the show today. Please do well to share it. Comrade Chris will be out tomorrow, Friday, and I'll be back next week. So again, take good care of yourselves, especially our ARFs. Take good care of yourselves. Your security is paramount. Take care of our civilians so they too can take care of you. That is how it works. So with that, I say the war zone is out. Good night.